Welcome to my super type A attempt at being Zen, the podcast. My name is Risha York, and I will be your host. If you are overworked, overtired, overstretched, overwhelmed, and just over it, you are in the right place. We like to say we are currently working towards Zen-ish. I'm thrilled that you've joined us. Let's see who will be supporting us on our path to Zen today. Welcome back. I'm thrilled to have you to listen to part 2 with Miranda Minassian. Let's hop right back in.
You are going to do things, you're going to struggle to continue doing them, you're going to find other things that work better, you're going to try things that don't work at all. You know, I have spent hundreds of dollars with therapists who set me back.
100%. I'm such a therapist interviewer now, and I found one a few years ago that just lit me up, and I was like, yes, oh my God, finally, this is my person. And, you know, I've done therapy my whole life, but it was this moment where I remember during COVID thinking, I think I need to start therapy again, and reaching out to her and being like, I know you're not anywhere close to where I am, but like, do you do this thing remotely now that we're COVID bound?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yes, it's like winning the lottery.
100%. Finding a functional support system is absolutely winning the lottery. And that's what's so difficult when I share my experience with people where they're like, what piece of advice would you give? And I'm like, the only solid piece of advice I can give every single person who is struggling is admit that you need help.
Yeah.
It is the only one tool. It is the one thing that I think is universal. It's the only thing I think is universal. I think everybody else is going to have to try their own path, you know, whether it's medication, whether it's talk therapy, whether it's, you know, some kind of movement therapy, whether it's, you need something short-term, whether you need something long-term. Those are all things that you're going to have to balance. Nutrition is important. You know, movement is important. I believe in those things. I definitely think, you know, generally being healthy is good for you. But in terms of tools that you need, one is admitting that you're not well.
Yeah.
My healing did not occur until I admitted that I was not well. And I remember distinctly the moment that I did it. It is like I have a goldfish memory. You can borrow money from me and I will forget. There was a moment crystallized where somebody asked me, a stranger that I did not know, I was meeting him through a friend of mine, like we ran into him at the park. And she knew him from high school, and he came over and he asked her how she was doing. And, you know, she kind of caught up, and then he said, hi, how are you? And I said to this complete stranger, I'm not doing well. And then I kind of like laughed and ran off.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing well. She was taking me on like a mental health walk. She was, you know, she knew I wasn't doing well and took me out of the house.
Yeah.
But it was like this moment of like freedom.
Yeah. Where you're like, oh shit.
This weight was lifted. I'm no longer at least lying.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first day I showed up for myself authentically. That was the very first day in a very long series of days where I showed up. So when people ask me, you know, what tools or what can I do or what should I do? I have no idea. And anybody who tells you they know is lying.
They can give you a list of stuff to try.
100%.
But they won't know for you.
Nope. Nobody is going to know. Your journey is unique, and you need to find what centers you. You need to find, I would say, something that you're passionate about. And I don't mean like, you know, you don't have to knit 1,000 sweaters or you don't have to go to law school. But you need to have purpose. Yeah. I think that's a very important part of what we do. And you need to have connections and community.
And in order to have purpose and find your connections and community, you have to do a lot of soul searching. It has to come to a place where you actually know who you are and what you need and what you want. Yes. And a lot of people avoid that work.
Who do you build community with? If you're not showing up authentically, who is your community? They cannot find you because you are hidden.
No, and you'll feel lost in the crowd, right? You'll be like, this isn't resonating for me. These are not my people, or you'll feel belittled or taken advantage of, or what it might be. But it's funny because exactly what you're talking about is where my super type A got built from. And I started to recognize, there's so many people that have such diverse needs when they're coming to a place of healing or they're working on whatever they're working on, right? Whether it be discovering yourself and understanding your confidence, which I deal with in Lead Without Permission, or understanding how to create your own personal balance, right? And for me, it all comes back to temperament. When I get to know a client and understand who they are, what their values are, what drives them, what's important to them, what they want in a community, what their goals are in life, what their why is, what their general personal mission statement is. When we start to really understand that about ourselves, that's when I feel I can say, okay, so there's a lot of tools out there that are probably being shoved down your throat. Or there's a lot of coaches out there or systems or cookie cutter solutions that people are like, this is going to work for everyone. And the truth is it won't. Like, that's not true. And so that's why, like,
anybody who's trying to sell you anything that says that it will do something is lying to you.
Yeah, no, it has to be customized to you as an individual. And I would say anybody out there looking for a coach, like, I just want to tell you right now, I get approached constantly by PR firms who are like, scale your business. And I'm like, how do I do that? They go, remove yourself completely, just build a thing. And I was like, no, the reason that doesn't work. And you know what, if you're doing that, more power to you. Great.
Yeah.
If your coaching is around facts and only facts, sure, that might work. My coaching is around human beings, and I cannot put something out into the world that is a cookie cutter thing that will work for all people. I can't do that. It's not a thing. I have to be involved in the process. I cannot remove myself because it requires me to assess a human being and all of the things that are unique and individual about that human being. And I cannot coach someone I do not know.
Risha, the difference between you and the process you just described is that your definition of success is helping the person.
Yes.
The other definition of success is making the most money as quickly as possible.
Yeah. That's not even in my purview.
Like, you need to pay your bills and you don't need to be ashamed of that. You deserve to get paid for the skills you have. But your fundamental value behind the service that you're offering, because you just described it, you're like, I can't do that without knowing that to me, that's not successful. It's like, because your value, your definition of success is not to mass market this and be cashing in checks. Your definition of success is to be known in the Aurelia community as somebody who addresses individual issues and helps them scale up their business. Working with Mel and Alana now, who works with Mel at Eclectic Cafe, was the first time I ever worked with somebody who actually did what they said they were about.
Yes.
So, and this isn't a pitch to eat at Eclectic Cafe, but do, because the food is
delicious. God, eat at Eclectic Cafe. Like, this goes out to, like, our listeners are all over the world, but, like, seriously, make your way to Aurelia, Ontario, Canada, and eat at Eclectic Cafe. Just do yourself a favor. It's a gem in the world.
So it really is. And to me, the real center of what makes Mel's food so good is that she is uncompromising about her values. So she loves food. She loves food. She loves ingredients. She loves putting it together. She does not need to be an Instagram. She is not she's not creating mousses that you lift off the jar and there's like, this is not a culinary experience like that. This is a culinary experience that feeds your soul.
Oh, it's
that
so
is built
good.
From a love of food. And I bring this up because her value system of equity, of love. Mel and Alana come from a place of love.
Yes.
It was the first time I ever worked in a place like that allowed me to excel with my value system.
Yeah.
Because they aligned. So we don't approach love and equity in the same ways, but our values aligned. And she saw the way I approached it and said, thank you for existing. And I saw the way she approached it and said, thank you for existing. And there is space for both of us to exist in this world.
Yes.
in this community, and there's space for both of us to be doing this work. And together, Mel and I were a little powerhouse team.
Right.
Like, we really crushed it when we were working together because our values matched.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't genuine about what my values were,
or didn't know what they were, or didn't know, because that's the
or
thing,
didn't know,
right?
or didn't 100%.
People listening.
If I had met Mel 10 years earlier, which I had. Mel and I worked in a kitchen together 10 years previously, actually,
right?
Where we were both still figuring stuff out. We didn't connect then. Like I liked her. She was always magnificent. But like I didn't know that we would be doing the thing we would be doing the thing we were doing.
And that's the other thing to know. Like, you
didn't know each other.
See the future. You don't know what's going to happen, but what you do know and what you can help your path in the right direction towards your personal success. And I do say personal because everybody's is different, but your personal success is just really knowing you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
There's literally nothing else you can know in this world. You can't control anything else. The only thing that you can deeply, explore on a day-to-day basis is yourself.
Yeah.
And it will attract people to you once you know
the right people.
And the right people for you are not the right people for me. But when I look at the group of friends that I have, I am like blown away by the women in my life. Yeah. And I remember saying I was on a trip with two incredible women, one of whom works for like an international animal rights group. She works on the illegal exportation of animals and creating global systems to help protect animals. And the other one does international, like, they're just like truly incredible women. And I was like, I just feel like so lucky to be like, I was just like, guys, like, how did we become, like, I'm just so blessed to be here. And they were like, if you think we're that great, would we not be great enough to hang out with somebody who is in our greatness?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that like I'm great and they're the best people out there.
But we reach down and we bring everyone with us, right? Yes. We rise together. And when you have created a circle of people where you rise together, I actually today saw this meme that was like, girl, I'm headed to the top, and if I am, you're coming with me. And I was like, yes, like that. I so intensely feel that in my body about all the people I love and adore. Like, this isn't just my journey. I'm hoping to go on this journey and bring my whole community with me.
And every day that you show up authentically, so whether that is saying to a complete stranger, I'm not doing well. Yeah. Or whether that is, doing your job, crushing it one day, you show up caffeinated 15 minutes early and you just produce. Or whether that is being gentle as a parent, having the space to be gentle as a parent that day. It's not every day that you get that space and you can show that kind of love. But every time you do that, you are inviting other people with you. Yeah. Every person who sees you doing that, you're inspiring by being. Yes. Be the change you want to see in the world is a very, it's overused and it's misunderstood. But I genuinely believe that that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. And, to come back to that point, you made this point earlier where you said, I would feel all the feelings, the external stress, the external world comes in, and it can be daunting and heavy. And, you feel this overwhelming responsibility for what's going on. And it's way outside of your scope of influence, right? And there's really nothing you can do. And a lot of times when I feel like that, because I think anybody who's highly empathetic feels like that, you get that like rush of overwhelm. Like anytime a large world event, like, currently with Israel and Palestine, or, forever with Israel and Palestine, the environment, Ukraine, like all of these things as they're coming up, COVID, like all of it. my first inclination is like, how many babies can I adopt? How many people can I bring into my space? Like, I start to get this panicky, like, it's my responsibility. What can I do? How can I do it? But I also try and come back and be like, you're doing it. You show up every day supportive. You show up every day making space. You're trying to lead by example. You show up with love. You want, if you can do that every single day, that has a ripple effect on everybody around you.
Yes. You really only have, and we can all grow our sphere, but you really can only influence people in your sphere of influence. So whether that's family, friends, coworkers, everybody's sphere of influence looks different. Yeah. Obviously, people with more power and access to power, people on the racial hierarchy, these are people who have a greater responsibility because your sphere is bigger. But you can only affect the people you can affect. Yes. And showing up is one way. I just finished Derek Bell's book. Faces at the Bottom of the Well. So Derek Bell is he was one of the first people to talk about critical race theory.
Yep.
So he worked vehemently on the integration of the Black school system in America. So he was one of the civil rights lawyers who fought for integration. And it was only after integration that he came to the analysis that it was actually a huge mistake because white flight happened and the Black students ended up worse off, right? White people removed themselves from the school system. They moved to the suburbs. They started their own school system. And then the Black teachers didn't have the qualifications to teach at the schools. So the students ended up being taught entirely by white teachers who considered their students to be subpar. And so he spent 10 years in the civil rights movement fighting for the integration, only to realize that his life's work was in his view
backfired,
a mistake. And one of the most powerful things he says in this book, and his whole book is an allegory. He tells, it's like Indigenous storytelling, where he's not giving you facts and figures. He's telling these fantastical stories that are making you see realities about the way that we interact with race and things like that. And so the reason I bring this up is one of the things that he's very open about and talks many times about in the book is that racism is fundamental to our system. Racism will not end. There is no end to racism. We need it. Capitalism needs it.
Capitalism needs it is a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, capitalism, it is the other side of the capitalist coin. It is a requirement of our society for racism to exist. But he is explicit that he is not saying this to disempower you.
Yeah.
He is saying this because every single action you take that is justice minded, where you are fighting for racial equality, is an act of resistance.
Yeah.
And every single one of those acts of resistance, no matter how big, no matter how small, should be celebrated.
Yes.
So the fact that we will not solve the climate crisis, the fact that we as individuals are not going to recycle our way out of the where we are now.
Yep.
Every act you take, every time you shop at Value Village instead of buying new, every time that you choose to not wrap your Christmas gifts in paper this year, you choose to do it in newspaper. You are not going to be able to make 100% perfect decisions.
Yeah.
But every single time that you do make decisions with whether it's eco-justice, social justice, gender justice in mind, those are acts of resistance.
Yeah.
So you are saying, I am not at your whim, system. I am an individual with autonomy and power, limited power, but I have power, and you don't get that from me. You will not take.
What we've learned about acts of resistance is it can influence culture and future decision, lawmaking, society.
Yes.
I mean, it took acts of resistance for all progress that currently exists. And so never, ever belittling any of that. Like it all needs to happen. And within our sphere, it influences the people in your sphere to the point where they think, this is a great idea, what you've done here, or, oh, I'm really inspired by that. I might try that too.
Or that strategy doesn't work. It's okay to look at what someone else is doing and say, that strategy doesn't work.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
Strategy, because that Derek Bell goes over every strategy that the civil rights movement did that didn't work. He tears down a lifetime worth of work He basically says, I done fucked up my entire life.
Yeah.
I worked my entire life, but he's not saying it because he doesn't think it was worth it.
Yeah.
He's saying it because he wants you to take what he did wrong, figure out what he did right, and make it different. Make it different. Make it different. The only way we fail, in my mind, is when you stop trying. Effort is enough. I agree. Effort is enough. And that is a message that when I get in those negative thoughts, that brings me back to my balance.
Yes.
Effort is enough.
Yeah. And we can't solve all the problems in the world, especially. So another trait, and we've talked about this in past podcasts, but I just want to touch on it again, because maybe this is the first time you're listening to this, and I just want you to hear it. Okay. If you are super type A, you are not the only one carrying the responsibility of the world on your shoulders. And it feels like that all the time. It feels like that. And you need to understand there are so many of us also carrying the responsibility of the entire world upon our shoulders. And so it's okay to rest and not carry the entire world for a little bit and take a break and just get really granular and myopic and stay focused on just you and your shit and your house and nothing beyond your house for a minute. It's okay to do that. You can do that. Take a break. Don't burn yourself out because you're trying to solve the problems of the universe. We're all here. There's enough of us doing this that it's all still moving forward. So it's okay to take a break and then come back at it refreshed. Don't feel like, oh, here I am again, working in the salt mine, trying to make it happen and no progress. Nothing's happening. I'm seeing nothing. It's because when we look back 50 years, we see huge progress. But when we look back in the next year, we're not seeing it.
Yeah. You're too close.
Perspective and time and space. Again, time and space. I think that might be the theme of season 2 of this podcast, time and space. Yeah. It's give yourself a moment to rest, to recharge, to refocus, and when I say refocus, I mean reorient.
Yes.
Right. Yes. What's important to me again? Right. That. Right. Okay.
And I need to have the energy in order to do the thing, whatever the thing is that you're trying to whatever change you're trying to make, or whatever resistance that you are focused on requires energy. Yeah. And if you don't streamline things in a way that you have energy to divert, you're going to be living not a positive example, right? Nobody wants to be the burnt out justice warrior. Nobody wants to be the person at every party screaming about social justice,
and it doesn't serve, it doesn't serve
it doesn't serve you.
It doesn't serve the purpose. It doesn't serve the goal. It doesn't serve anything, because now you're off the rails.
And you're not inviting, because the whole point of resistance is to create solidarity.
Yeah.
So community, when I talk about community, to me, those are people I have solidarity with. Those are people whose value systems align enough with mine that I say, I want your opinion. I want to lean on you. I want to be a person you lean on. Yeah. Those things. So building solidarity takes time. It takes effort. And that is where you're going to find the ability to take a step back, because you have created solidarity with people who you see are, like you said, moving it along while you refocus. Yeah. And maybe just, get your work done this month and go to bed early because you've been burning it at both ends. Or, maybe you need to take a vacation, and instead of feeling guilty about taking time away and enjoying this amazing.
And can we talk for a second about, super type A's, it's okay to have fun.
Yes.
We're allowed that. Please allow that of yourself. I think we get so caught up in, well, I have to be efficient and I have to tick the things off my list, and I have all these responsibilities. We're very, very responsibility focused. Responsibility is our top value, and it's partnered with a sense of feeling belonging. So we're looking for that community. We're looking for it, and we want to pull our weight. We want to make sure that we're holding up our part of the, cool, great, but also have some fucking fun. It's okay to let go. find those things that bring you just pure blissful joy and do them. It's all right. Like, take a breath.
It's not just all right, it's vital.
It's vital.
Like, it's not just like it's okay for you to do that. If you do not do that, you cannot be balanced.
You will burn out. That's ultimately what
joy
it comes
is a
down
requirement of balance.
Yeah,
you
you're
cannot
gonna
just
burn out. It's gonna hurt, and then
yes.
it'll take you a long time to find joy.
Yes, yes.
Right. So
you have to feed the joy.
Yeah, I had a great therapist who was like, I want you to make a list of like the 20 things that bring you the most excitement and joy. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, no. And I want you to put it somewhere that you see it all the time. And I was like, okay. And she's like, and I want you to do those things. So at least once a week, you got to check in on that list and be like, have I done anything on this list?
Yeah.
And I'm like, right. Yeah. And sometimes it's something as simple as like, I love music. And music gets like in my head and makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and I love it. And so for me, sometimes it's as simple as like sitting in my car and belting out my favorite songs in like, 14-year-old Risha fashion, where it's like, I just need to like let it all out of my body and no judgment and just like purely feel all of this. And like, you need that.
Yeah, you absolutely need that. You also need to put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
You need to have both types of joy. So you need to have for instance, I love taking dog walks with my partner. Because we're so busy, it's usually one or the other of us. You walk the dog while I make dinner.
Yeah.
You walk the dog while I clean up, so it's usually one. I love taking walks together, the awkward silence. I love it. Like, it's like this time where you can tell that he doesn't really know why we're doing it, but I love it. So he does it.
Yeah.
And so, that's something we can do weekly. I can't travel weekly. I can't, I can't necessarily spend a whole day in bed weekly. God,
oh my God, I love bed. Can we talk about that? I love bed.
And but what you can do is put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
The way that you schedule drinks with your friends, or the walrus talk that's happening at the museum. So we schedule all these things, type A's, to keep ourselves educated, to keep ourselves on the next thing, to keep ourselves out there, to keep ourselves. But we don't schedule joy. Nobody's like, do joy on the weekend.
And it has to happen.
Or it becomes the first thing axed, right? When your schedule starts to look busy, you're like, oh, I don't have time for that hike on Saturday morning. I'm not doing that. And that, to me, is a mistake.
Yeah.
Because your only job on this earth, really, you get one go around.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we get several go rounds, but that's my personal.
Yeah. Okay. You get one conscious go around in this meat sack.
Yes, this time
you're in. You got 100 years if you're lucky. To me, the only thing that is purpose and contentment, and it's the journey, not the destination. You don't reach purpose and contentment and you're like, now I have purpose and contentment. It's that keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah.
Why am I fighting for social justice? Why is social justice important to me?
Yeah.
Because I don't find peace without it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So for me, my work is part of my peace and contentment, because I am not at peace, or I am not content without people knowing that they have somebody in their corner.
Yeah.
I get that.
I feel like
that's the only focus.
Yeah. There's this big, we talk a lot about legacy, and some people are like, I have to make all this money because my legacy, and I have to, and for me, in my legacy is my relationships. I feel like that's my legacy, is how people feel when they're in my presence, but also my legacy is my joy. I feel like our joy is transcendent, and we see that in people who have brought us joy, watching their joy.
Right.
And they're remembered that way. Like, oh, wow. Yes. Remember, especially like in the entertainment industry, you'll see someone where it's like, they were just so joyful. Like Betty White is a great example of this, where it's just that woman experienced so much joy. And through her, I've experienced so much joy. And her joy is so transcendent that people don't want to let her go.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And love is the other one.
But
People
that joy, like,
make
we don't make it a priority.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I think we are very good in the West at thinking that we do, because we
Accumulate stuff.
accumulate stuff, and we are hyper focused on appearance, right? So it's like, you do self-care things for yourself, and whatever that looks like for you. And because we do have leisure time, right? That we are in a privileged part of the world where our subsistence needs are for the most part met. There's a lot of community members who are being left behind right now. I want to be extremely clear about that we are in a affordability crisis. But by and large, globally, we are in the people who have actual spare time. And so I think we think we're very good at it. But I think, like, as we've been discussing this, we see that we are unintentional about a lot of what we do in life. A lot of what you do in life is routine, is repetitive. And joy is not something that you routine into, right? Like, parts of your routine obviously should be developed to bring you joy, but it is absolutely something that you need to be intentional about, that you need to make money, you need to pay your bills, you need to feed yourself every week. But if you don't remember why you're here,
why you're feeding yourself and clothing yourself and housing yourself, and why are you doing that?
It's very easy to lose the plot.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to become, for that negativity to take you over, right?
Yes.
And then what happens is, in order to get out of the negativity, you look for external achievements. So you start getting external achievements. I'm going to get this promotion, or I'm going to get these A's in law school. I have a friend of mine who she's hyper obsessed with her grades. She's very young, and I know that she'll learn and grow. Yeah. But I said to her, what happens if you get a B?
Yeah.
What happens if you get a B?
Do you know how many doctors and lawyers are out there that graduated with a B or a C, and they're still doctors and lawyers? It makes no difference at the end of the day to the end result.
And she said to me, God bless her for her self-awareness. She's like, this is my only source of validation. This is my entire being relies on these grades. And I was like, what happens when you graduate from law school?
Yeah. And you're not getting that anymore.
You're not getting them. And then she's like, well, then it will be work. And I was like, I look forward to meeting you in 10 years when you have grown a little bit.
Yeah.
And I am hoping that somebody intervenes in this. I said to her, this isn't healthy, and that you need to, look inside, and you're going to have to rejig some of this.
Yeah.
Your entire validation coming from
grades.
Somebody doesn't even know you.
Yeah.
You're a number. Thinks about
that's not going to long-term, that won't sustain.
Long-term, that won't sustain. And these are the people that I'm like, I fear, because you are at the risk of exploitation from bad employers. You are at the risk of exploitation from bad partnerships, from bad friendships, because if all of your validation is external, it leaves you extremely vulnerable to people manipulating, taking advantage.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be that carrot, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So for me, also showing up authentically and finding that balance steps you into your power.
Yes.
Because you're no longer going to tolerate you want me to work 90 hours a week? That isn't balance for me. I don't care if you pay me $250,000 a year. You're not going to scream at me because you pay me to be screamed at.
No, once you know yourself, you're able to set into place the boundaries that will maintain your joy, your balance, your self-esteem, all of that. And boundaries, ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what keeps us on the path, right? It's understanding which boundaries are going to be my deal breakers, and which ones where I'm like, maybe it was a little too intense on that boundary, and I can like kind of back it off a little bit because I'm seeing now the result. But ultimately, there are some boundaries that are never to be moved.
No.
Learning about you so you can put those in place and keep yourself healthy and on track and in a good headspace. Like, what a game changer that is.
And it's recalibration, constant
recalibration.
Anybody listening
Tawwab Glover, she's like a really big deal right now. Nedra Tawwab Glover wrote book called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And it's actually one of the required readings for the course, My Super Type A. And it will blow your mind. If you've ever lived in a space where you felt taken advantage of or taken for granted or struggled with any relationship in your life, listening to that book, like I have it on audiobook and I listen to it sometimes in the car as like just a little check-in for myself,
Yeah.
right? It's like next freaking level. It honestly, I've been like hounding her because I really want her to be on the podcast. She's way too big for me right now, so she's probably just ignoring me. But I'm like, please, 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 please. Because
talk to you.
Oh, it's so effective, and also kind of brought me back to my upbringing because my mother was a therapist, where it's like, hey, that's not okay. You're allowed to say to someone, hi, hey, that's not okay. I do not accept that.
Yeah.
And as women, we've been told for centuries that no, you're not allowed to do that. Like you have to just sort of roll with what happens and then make the best of it. No, you don't.
Or if you do, you'll be ostracized.
Yeah,
right?
that's not going to happen, and certainly not anymore. Like, please, that's not okay phrase, like make it in your back pocket. It should be in your
100%,
back pocket.
100%.
That's
and
not
a real
okay.
boundary comes with a consequence, right? I don't like this is not actually a boundary. This makes me feel uncomfortable, and if you continue to do that, I'm going to X.
Yeah,
that's a boundary.
Yeah.
So it's one, it's all well and good for us to say to each other, I don't like it when you talk to me like that, or I would prefer, but real boundaries have to come with consequences, because otherwise you're just voicing your displeasure, right?
It's funny. I once said yeah, exactly. I once said to a good friend of mine, what you just said to me, what really upset me and offended me, and my friends don't talk to me that way. So just so we're clear, if you want to remain friends, I would expect you never to say anything like that to me again. And she was like in shock when I said it. And we probably didn't talk for 2 to 3 months after I said it out loud. And then she came back and it was a completely different dynamic, like just completely different. And
you've stated, and
I didn't lose that person. It wasn't, we came to an understanding of this is what friendship is to me. If that's not what it is to you, I don't know that we're friends.
That's totally fine. Also, if you find people who accept that friendship looks like that,
then go have those people, because it's not me.
Because it's not me. The girl who, yes, the student who external validation that in my class, we were working on a summary together. So at the end of the semester, you work on a summary so that you can all study for exams or whatever. And so she was talking about, she was assigning different pieces, and I said, I'm happy to do this, and she assigned herself whatever, and we're getting it done. And she was like, in class, she comes up to me and she's like, I'm so sorry if you feel like you got too much. I'm so sorry if you're feeling like you did more than your fair share. And I was like, my feelings are not your responsibility. It is, if I thought that what you assigned me was unfair, it is my responsibility to say, I don't feel like that's fair. If you don't reduce my workload, I'm going to work on the summary.
And had you said anything?
No, because it wasn't.
So this is storytelling, right?
She's a people please. She's in the space of, but it was one of those things where I explained to her where her responsibility ends, which is at the end of her nose.
Yeah.
Your responsibility ends with your feelings, with expressing yourself, with finding your balance, with creating your community. What I feel, what I do, my community, and how I interact with the world is not your responsibility.
Yeah.
It is not your responsibility. It can be kind if you know somebody who, like her, doesn't have boundaries. So it was I literally said to her that day, boundaries are a kindness. They're not harmful.
Yeah.
And the reason that I said to her, my stuff is not your responsibility, is because I wanted her to very clearly understand that the way other people feel is not on her.
No.
If it's unexpressed.
Yeah.
If someone says to you, you're hurting my feelings, I will not be your friend if you continue to act this way, and you keep showing up and doing it, different story.
Yeah, totally.
But if people are just going about their business, you don't need to be at home thinking about whether your actions impacted other people on repeat.
No. And if you are, like, I just want to put this out there. If you're at home being like, did I do a thing? Did I whatever? I think
Really?
actually what she did might be the right thing to do. Like, literally reach out and say, I feel like maybe I did this, instead of like sitting and dwelling in the circle and the cycle over and over and over again.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, stop. Reach out and say,
I'm
did I
feeling
create
like
this
I assigned
feeling?
you too much work and it is running through my head. How do you feel? You know,
Yeah.
are you feeling the same way?
I want to
100%.
make sure that we are on the same page. I felt
Yes.
this and I'm feeling this and sitting here thinking about it. They will either say, actually, yeah, I felt that way and I didn't want to say anything. And now we have this active, beautiful communication happening. Or they're
Yes.
saying, actually, no, like that didn't even cross my mind. And your
Nope.
storytelling basically. And this, you're going to realize when you start to reach out and break the cycle,
Yes.
how often you're storytelling.
Yes.
Because it happens all the time. People get stuck in storytelling mode. And if you just like, oh, they're going to hate me. They're going to hate me. I even did it this week because, my kids were really, really sick. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have to reschedule Miranda again. It's like the third time. I'm like, she's going to think I'm nuts. And then I stopped and went, no, listen, I think firstly, since COVID, we're all so much more graceful when people have to cancel, because we recognize now that there is a big shift in priorities, and we all need to be
preach.
understanding of that.
Preach. We are no longer sacrificing our sanity, our families, our free time for commitments that can easily be moved, for artificial deadlines.
Yeah, artificial is the best way of putting it. Like, I'm the one who set that. That's in my head. I'm the one who's getting in my head about that. Now, do I want to get it done? Yeah, because that scratching in my brain, it's happening and being like, get this off your plate, make sure it's done. But at the same time, if I had a justifiable reason why this was not going to happen, why would someone be so disrespectful to me to be like, all right, I'm out?
And if they do,
they are not meant to be involved.
That's the part that people need to get, I think, more comfortable with, is that you will lose things. When you set boundaries, you will lose things, right? So when you were talking earlier about how you swear and I think we can both agree that I am also a bit of a kooky personality. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So I am not applying for law jobs in what they call big law. So like, the Bay Street firms, I had you get assigned these upper year students as mentors. And she said, don't sell yourself short. You can get those jobs. And I said, I absolutely can get those jobs. I'm on the dean's list. I am a smart person. I have previous law experience. I look fine in a suit. Like, it's not that I cannot get those jobs.
I don't want them.
It's that they do not belong to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to attract that into my life.
No.
So when you start knowing yourself and setting boundaries, things will start to get pushed away from you. You'll lose opportunities because you're too loud for that space, or you'll lose friendships because you have expectations of what a friend looks like, and things will start to exit your life. But what will also happen, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time, is that suddenly things start coming into your life that actually belong, that require less maintenance, that require less effort. The boundary setting is modified, simple. It's one time. It's sometimes not even have to be said out loud because there's a complicit understanding of what this looks like. And then you're making space for the things that actually belong to you, the things that you actually should be attracting. And so there's this fear that we're going to lose out if we don't conform, if you don't, don't be too much yourself.
Yeah.
If you are being authentic and you are putting in effort, people are going to love you.
Yeah, it is totally the opposite of that. It's it's literally the law of attraction, right? Is as pure and as honest and as transparent as you can be, then that's like magnetizing, and it's putting that out into the world.
It is a beacon.
And you're going to attract all of that right back to you. And it's such a beautiful thing to see when it happens, especially if you've never believed in yourself enough to make that happen. Like I had, I could go into a million stories around this, but at the end of the day, because we're at the end of our time and I feel like I could talk to you for 7 hours.
I know.
But it's really just recognizing how valuable you are and what you bring to the table, and then honoring it by not masking it.
Yes. And
Right.
by and I am like a case study in this exact thing. I grew up in a small town. I grew up the only brown student in a school. I grew up relatively low income, and I think I always wanted to be in law. I think if I'm
Yeah.
being honest with myself now, actually, I don't even need to think that. My mom found a third grade project where I said I wanted a house, a small house, a dog, and a legal education. I didn't even say I wanted to be a lawyer. I said in grade 3, I'll send you the picture after, Risha. I'm not kidding. I said a small house, a dog, and a legal education.
That's manifestation right there.
Literally. Side note, my teacher wrote underneath it, "What about a husband?" Which in the third grade,
No.
um, none of your business. Because I think I wrote also a boyfriend, I might have written. And she was like, "What about a husband?" And I was like, boyfriend is enough for Miranda, apparently, which remains true. Not a top priority of mine. Marriage, my partner and I are very happy, and we all have our own journeys.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I never believed in myself. I didn't think I had the money. I didn't think that I was, bright enough. I thought all these things. And then as you go through life, you realize that everybody is just doing the best they can.
And can I tell you, so as you say that, this is the card I pulled today. It says, you are a product of what you believe.
Genuinely.
And I just need to say, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, you're your first line of defense, right?
Yeah.
For everything. If you are depressed, if you are feeling not well, you're your first line of defense. So believe in you, ask for help, reach out, talk to people who have been through what you're going through, share experiences, go to a group chat, go to therapy, do whatever you need to do.
Doing the thing you think you want to do.
Yeah.
When I'm in the legal community, people are so generous.
Yes.
People don't care that I'm poor. People don't care that they don't care. You're interested in this? Oh boy, be ready for me to nerd out.
People want to talk about what they're passionate about. So connect with those people. And also, like, check your limiting narratives. Check them.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Check them and understand. If you're saying, I can't, I won't, I couldn't, there's no way, I want you to just like stop and pause for a second. Write that shit down. If anybody, like you said, if your best friend said that, what would you say to them? I can't, I shouldn't, I'd never, I couldn't. You'd be like, no way, girl. Here's all the ways we're going to get you over this hump. This is how I'm going to help you overcome this obstacle. That's not true. You're incredible. You're amazing. So
yes,
it's time to do that for you.
100%. And remember, there's 600 ways to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
If I hadn't getting into law school is like infinite, like so difficult. It's such a small percentage of people who apply that get in. And if I hadn't gotten into law school, I would have found a different way.
Yeah.
Because I was at a point in my life where I was committed to doing this.
Yeah.
And so if I hadn't gotten into a Canadian law school, maybe I would have been a paralegal. If I hadn't done that, maybe I would have gone abroad and gotten a legal education where it's more accessible, come back here and transferred my skills. If I hadn't done that, maybe I would have. There isn't only one way to achieve your goal. Sometimes you need to broaden it. Sometimes, you can't say, I want to be the star of a, movie that is about aliens in, tropical space. If you get too narrowed down.
I would actually argue that getting that granular is important. If you can visualize exactly what it is you want and how you want it, you will get there. That will happen.
All right, I like that.
The journey there might require other things first.
Yes, other things first. Yes.
But get granular. Like that granular vision is what drives me every single day. Like I can see in my mind's eye those goals, those things that felt at one point completely ethereal, not achievable.
Yeah.
And that's where I am today was one of those goals. Like what I do right now, where I live, everything about my life, none of this was supposed to happen. And here it is. It's happening and I'm here. And it's because it was so clear to me.
In your mind. For those of you listening who are not clear, I am one of you. I don't I had a clear vision to get into law school. I did that. I'm now getting this legal education. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. It's okay to explore,
Yeah,
once
100%.
at some point I'm going to have to make a decision, and it might not be the one that I stick with forever. So I could go into criminal defense and do a few years and move.
But I would argue, Miranda, that you have a very clear vision. It just hasn't solidified because you know where you don't belong.
Yes,
and you
you're right.
know what you do want, and you know where you do belong. So what's going to happen is over time, again, time and space, going to narrow in to be like, that's obviously it. Like, obviously that's it. And you can look back 10 years and go, I knew when I was in third grade, I was going to be a lawyer. It just didn't clarify. There's a difference between clarifying and feeling like lost, and you're going to meander. Meandering is part of the journey.
Right.
But there are goals. They're there. They're already there, and you're not allowing yourself to see them.
I needed to hear that today.
Good.
I really needed to hear that. And I hope anybody who's listening who has a general sense of where they belong and what they want to do, but maybe doesn't have the granular vision, to hear that too. Give yourself the time and space.
Please.
Because you actually do know. You're right.
You do know. In your heart of hearts, you know.
Yeah.
You know everything. Yeah. It's there for you. It's literally about giving yourself permission to allow it, see it, and support yourself along the way. It's so much of the work I do on a daily basis is helping people get to that place to allow that vision to come to light.
And I think the time and space is important, because sometimes you need to make steps towards what you do know. Rather than being like, I don't know exactly, I don't have that granular vision and I'm frozen. It's like, I have a general idea, I know I want to litigate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take litigation courses. I'm going to, do those kinds of things, follow that path. How I want to do that maybe isn't granular yet, but you're right. I do know.
You do know.
And the more I invest in what I do know, the more
you're an extrovert. The more you talk about it, the clearer it becomes too. So this is the thing, like, extroverts out there, find a sounding board, like talk it out, get it out of your fucking head so that you can hear it against someone else who goes, oh, well, yeah, but obviously you just said A, B, and C. And it's like, oh my God, I did. Of course I did. And like, introverts, you guys need to go sit with it. You got to go sit with it and ruminate until it feels right. But extroverts, you got to talk it out. It's there. It's in you. You're just not getting it out of your body so that you can hear it. Yeah. Because we are extroverts. Like, we talk a lot, but we're also great listeners when people come up with the right.
Yeah. We want to be caught. Yeah, we want you to catch what we're saying. Yeah. And I think there's also fear, and I know we've run out of time, but just quickly, I want to say there is always this fear of getting what you want, right?
Oh yeah, like, fear of success is real.
And not just success in the financial aspect, but success in the other aspect.
Yeah, so what happened? The goal.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
So I have the thing, and now what?
And then there's excuses around it, right? Like, if I pursue this path, it's my dream, but I won't be as financially stable, or I'll have to work weekends. And you use those excuses, which don't actually even matter to you. Is finances my top value? No. I worked in the service industry my entire life. Do I really care about Sundays? No. Yeah. I'm happy with a Monday off. But you start putting roadblocks.
Yeah.
So it's important to acknowledge sometimes, like you said, it's nice to have a person say, but you just said X, Y, these 5 things, which are pointing to yes. And now you're talking your way into a no for no reason.
Yeah. We need to sound that stuff out. I do. I certainly do. And it's funny because my husband is a hardcore introvert, and I will like, blah, 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 and he's like, I know. And I'm like, no, but I need you to hear it, because I need you to actually hear what I'm saying and then be like, yeah, but Risha, right? Like, I need that. Yeah. And so sometimes he's not the best person to do that to. Sometimes I need to find another extrovert who will be like, but wait, I heard. And then I'm like, yes, okay, good. Because that brainstorming thing for extroverts is really, really helpful. For introverts, it makes them uncomfortable and they don't really like to participate. So you got to find your your people that you can do that with, it's a big deal.
It
It
is.
has a massive impact on my life. I have like 5 people I can do that with and be like, I just need to do this. And my best friend's amazing at it. I'll be like, oh, here we go. This is it. And she'll be like, what I heard was, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, of course.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's what I thought I heard. Yeah.
Thank you for helping me clarify that.
Yeah.
You know, and it just creates a whole new level of understanding. It's how I function, it's how extroverts function. So don't feel guilty or bad about that. You preface that conversation with, I need to vent and bounce some ideas off of you. I need you to actively listen and give me some feedback.
Yeah. And community is willing to do it. That's the thing. If you've invested in people, you know, over time who understand you and are drawn to your authentic self, you know, like,
they're here for you.
Yeah, you'll have somebody.
They're here for you. Yeah. And I'm here for you. So like, if you need someone to do that, and
I really needed to hear that end bit today, Risha. So I appreciate you, because I have been feeling a little bit meandering, and I think you're right. I don't need to worry about the meandering. I had to just keep my eye on the long-term prize and let the details sort themselves out as time and space come to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you got something out of today. That's exciting.
Oh, girl. It's a journey. I am more balanced now than I was, you know, 20 years ago, but I'm also less balanced than I was a year and a half ago. So it's like, you know, it's forwards, backwards,
it's ebb and flow. It's a roller coaster. We have to just ride along. That's how it goes.
It is. Yeah. So I encourage anybody who is listening to this to know that your journey is your own. It's totally normal.
Give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace, and like, be kind.
Thank you, Miranda, for being on the show. What's that?
Thank you for having me. Reach for things. Don't limit yourself. What was it? Hold up the card again. I loved that.
Oh, it says you are a product of what you believe.
Yeah, you are.
And it's a sweary one. So on the back, it says, if you think you're a turd, you're probably going to act like a turd. Treat yourself like a turd and accept turd treatment from others. Why the fuck would you do that?
Yes.
And it goes on. Like, it's pretty long.
That is how I talk to my best friend. That is something I would literally say to her. Like, if she, I love
one of my best friends actually bought me this card. It's called Spiritual AF, and it's really sweary, like on the nose, good advice. And I find it's kind of the kind of advice I would give to other people too. So I love to pull a card from it every day when I sit down at my desk, because it's a nice little like, I probably needed to hear that. It's good to have an outside source tell me that. So it's me following my own advice again, right? Yeah. So, but thank you, Miranda, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I knew it was going to be a lively discussion, and so I was very excited.
I hope that somebody got something out of it.
I can't imagine.
Wants to reach out about their experience, I'm sure Risha will. You can post my email if anybody is thinking about going to law school and wants to hear about that experience. It's a journey. I'm happy to share it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thanks for creating community, Risha. You're welcome.
Honestly, it's my pleasure. Truly, I get so excited about exactly this, and the guests that we have this season. My heart is so full. I'm so excited. We have been so blessed to have just incredible humans, and the trend continues. And I'm going to do it as long as it's fun. I think I said that on the last podcast, but it's so fun. So I don't know, if if it'll ever stop, but I'm sure there'll be a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm over it. But right now it's like the highlight of my day when I get to record these chats, because I learn so much. I feel like we're sharing so much that can be helpful to everybody who's listening. And I cannot imagine that between the things that you have said today, the things that I have said today, that we have not had any kind of impact. Like, I cannot imagine.
Yeah, I'm hoping that somebody finds this who needs to hear it, because sometimes like it's about space and time, right? Like
time. I'm gonna make t-shirts.
Yeah, honestly, do it.
Yeah, I think it has to happen. My last podcast, she suggested that. She was like, make t-shirts with space and time. And I'm like, I really feel like I should for season 2, especially because it's been such a constant conversation.
Yeah, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. You're the best.
Oh. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit www.yorkmotivational.com for more information on my Super Type A Attempt at Being Zen, the coaching program, Lead Without Permission, or visit our contact page to reach out to Risha. Wishing you all continued balance and fulfillment on your road to Zen.